So Paula Bennett wrote an opinion piece in the Herald asserting it's very hard to be a middle-aged or older white man in Aotearoa, New Zealand now. Is that your experience there, Mr.
It's absolutely
Wilson?
not my experience, no.
You're all
I'm
good?
embarrassed to say it. I don't think I have a hard time.
What about you then?
It's a struggle, but I'm making it through.
I think Rob's an unusual case, let's put it that way.
It is a struggle. Dealing with privilege is a lot harder than people think it is.
Sure.
Must be so.
I was grateful for Paula raising it. I mean, what a lot of nonsense.
Paula's concern about Pākehā men, I guess, is a universal one or a global worry. What do you think, Rob?
I think it's quite specific. If I was running around raising a lot of money from the National Party, I would know that I'm going to raise a lot of it, all of it, of old white men, and I'd be making them feel comfortable, and I think that's all she was doing.
I think that's exactly right. That is her key political role at this point, and she's extremely good at it and being very successful at it. I went to an event this week where a number of older white men got up and spoke their minds about things, and the general tone of what they were saying was, why can't we make these jokes anymore? Why is everybody being so hard on us? And these were privileged, rich people in their corner going, we want the world where we were the heroes. We want it back. Is that being hard on older white men to say, actually, the world's moved on, it's better that it has? I'm not sure that it is.
They're the same ones that get grumpy over co-governance and treaty.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, you've become a target too.
I am a target, but I'm an older white man, so although I'm a target, I don't get the abuse at the level or extremity that I know that some of my colleagues in journalism do because they're women, or that women politicians do. I don't get that level of abuse. It's mild for me compared to them.
And the last couple of weeks, the headlines have been dominated by Kiri Tapu, Allen and Tory whānau. So are they fair targets or unfairly targeted?
This has been way out of proportion to what I think it is, so I don't pay a lot of attention to that. Is that all right? I didn't really.
No.
I always just think, wow, yes, another Māori woman who's being scrutinised disproportionately, and okay, public figures, but there didn't seem to me to be a lot of substance behind it.
What did you think, Rob? What was your kind of feeling like with Tory whānau? It seemed like there was, it landed in the media's lap in a rather surprising way.
I think it was hand-delivered to the media, I suspect. So rather than landing in their lap, just an overall beat-up. I mean, mayors in Wellington and elsewhere have been getting drunk and doing slightly silly things for a long time. It's not new. It's not actually all that outlandish, the things that Tory was accused of, a total beat-up. Kiri Tapu Allen, it's a different set of circumstances, but again, I think, very much a beat-up. I mean, I personally think there's an awful lot of public servants that need a whole lot more shouting at. Frankly, they could do with being taken down a peg or two in many instances. So if she did shout at a civil servant, I think they probably deserved it. But whether she did or not, I don't know. And it's an overhang to kind of pick on a brown woman to make it all seem worse. And it's just a really unfortunate thing about our society at the moment that somehow seemed to be okay.
Tapu, what are the main issues that you see coming through e-tangata that are landing on e-tangata, which people are really concerned about?
Racism is huge, and we, at the start of this year, got several pieces from people saying, being Māori in an election year, I hate it, because we are going to be the target of everything. And there is all the talk about co-governance and three waters and everything else, that's just part of it. It's just everything now. It's not a good, it's not a good time for Māori. So that is a huge concern, which we try to address by doing what we can to go, hey, look at this, look at that. But yes, I mean, that's just, it's a reality, and we've seen that played out.
I think we have two really big problems in this election, and they're very hard to talk about, and they probably won't get much media time as issues, but I think they kind of, they're over everything. And one of them is that we have a government that's more committed than previous governments to major reform, institutional reform in housing and transport and health and education and crime in a whole lot of areas. Those reforms and the idea of reform are really expensive and longer term and deep and difficult. And it strikes me they are too difficult, partly because they're so expensive. So we need an ability to talk about how we make change for the better that doesn't involve a $30 billion tunnel for light rail, which is one of only 5 lines the city needs for light rail. We need an ability to talk about how do we deal with ram raids without simply saying we're going to build more prisons and do the super expensive things that will be required. And we're not good at that at all. And I think we're kind of stuck because there are big plans, but they're too expensive, so it's hard to see that they're actually going to happen, whoever's in government, and we're stuck not being able to make progress incrementally along the way. So that's one issue. And the other one is, it's been my experience when I get out of Auckland especially, that there's the big thing that is driving opposition to the government, or one of the big things, is racism. It's that simple. Racism underlines opposition to Three Waters. It underlines a whole lot of things, and it's at the level of Māori have just been getting too much. And it's really hard because it's very hard to talk about, because as soon as you say, oh, you're playing the racism card, then you get pushed over into a box and so on. But it is an extremely difficult thing.
In election time, we often tend to talk as if we were all one people. People are worried about housing or education or the cost of living. We're not one people. We are very divided. People have very different experiences, whether it's cost of living or access to education or jobs or whatever it is. And this tends to get a bit obscured into these slogans. But also, let's not overlook some very good things that are happening. I was very struck reading this morning that there's been a surge in enrolments by Māori between the ages of 20 and 35 in the electoral enrolment process. That is incredibly encouraging, because I don't think they're signing up to vote for David and Christopher Luxon, myself. Maybe they are, but I doubt it. And it shows an involvement level which is really exciting, because that is the way that our society will start to change. And I think some more of those positive things that happen, the more we draw attention to those kind of things, the better it is.